Hello everyone, I'm Alice. Today we are going to talk about how to build trust when you set up your marketing on social media. I would like to give you some suggestions that you should bear in mind. Firstly, define who owns the conversations. Secondly, be transparent. Trust and relationship must be earned. Thirdly, audience trust icons and avatars. We will discuss in detail about these issues in the following sections. Social media marketing has become such a hot topic of conversation, and one of the most consultants consider a gold mine. Many consultants claim to be the social media expert, the only ones who can design and implement the company's strategy. However, don't assume that any consultants or firm can handle every aspect of the social media campaign. Rely on one department or one type of agency to plan and implement the social media strategy can limit the potential success when entering the social media space. Companies shouldn't limit themselves by believing that their PR agencies can handle their social media strategies just because they claim that they can do it all. Particular disciplines, such as public relations and search marketing, often have very limited scopes of how social media should be used. Many different departments should have a role in the social media strategies. If you're looking to an agency to help you to plan a strategy, look for one that has the broad range of experience. Everyone can have a role, from research and planning to engagement. Just be sure to use the existing resources to your advantage. The marketing team understands how to grab the message in a way that can appeal broadly. Creating pieces such as commercials and brochures, labeling, and so on is what they do best. These professionals understand what's needed to draw customers to your company, brand, products, or services. Most marketers learned the classic way of marketing, which includes, among other things, the line of thinking that a company must push a message to customers a certain number of times to truly reach them. Marketers carefully craft and push a message to the company desired demographic, hoping to convert at least a portion of audience to real customers. In this form of marketing, there is no conversation. When the marketing team learns the ins and the outs of the social media, they can help your company craft its marketing message, as well as assist you in honing the capability to include these messagings into your conversations. The marketing team can help you create effective social media marketing plans and make sure that the branding is consistent with other company messagings, something many companies forget when entering the social media space. Public relations is notoriously about control and spin. When it comes to spin control, the PR team won't be able to control much of anything that happens in social media. The discussions can't be controlled directly, but you can participate in those conversations and possibly influence the final outcome in a positive manner. Bloggers receive many odd press releases from PR professionals who appear to be sending them just about anyone with a blog. It seems as though this PR agency thought every blogger on earth needed to know about the company's news, even if the blog has nothing to do with the product or service the PR agency was sharing. Unfortunately, for these PR agencies and for the company, if you decide to hire a PR agency to handle the social media, treating social media this way can have disastrous results for the social media campaign. When it comes to spin control, the PR team won't be able to control much of anything that happens in social media. The discussion can be controlled directly if you can participate in those conversations and possibly influence the final outcome in a positive manner. For many search optimization professionals, social media is all about the links and the traffic it generates for a client's site. In search optimizations, black hat is a term for people who use underhanded tactics in attempt to manipulate search engines such as Google, Yahoo, and Bing into ranking a site higher in search results. Black hat SEO, also known as spam texting, employs a variety of sleazy tactics, such as creating link farms, keyword stuffing, and article spinning to get a site unfairly ranked by a search engine, while diminishing the relevance of search results. The customer service team definitely need to have a seat at your social media strategy table. The people on the customer service team hear your customer relating their stories on a daily basis. They know how to communicate in real conversations with the customers, perhaps better than anyone else in your company. They hear both the good and the bad about what people think about your company, brand, products or services, and even the people who work for you. They can provide invaluable information that can not only help you in research but also aid in sculpting a successful social media strategy. The IT department needs to be included in the social media team because it can help you with the technical foundations of the strategy. Get the IT department opinion and make sure the right systems are in place before you wade deep into the social media. The IT professionals will be far more willing to suggest alternatives to make your social media strategy work if you were included them from the beginning. As a company implementing a strategy, you need to define who owns the conversations from the start. This topic has become very touchy as social media becomes more influential in our society. As a company makes inroads into the social media communities, relationship with members of those communities will begin to develop. If you have just one person representing your own company within social media circles, community's member will develop a relationship with just one person and not your company overall. Make sure to plan for personnel transitions and clearly define what happens to the accounts the employees manage. Social media can end up unwittingly being a personal branding mechanisms for the team members. If team members of the social media team use the status within the social media efforts for self-branding, the social media strategy might do more for the employee than it does for the company. That's why it's important to lay the ground rules for the employee participation in the social marketing strategy. Zappos, for example, educates its employees who want to use Twitter on behalf of the company. Zappos trains its employees how to best represent Zappos in the way the company feels it should be represented. Also, Zappos required employees include Zappos at the part of their usernames. If the employee leaves Zappos, employee must to the account no longer be used to send tweets. This clearly establishes the employees as working on the behalf of Zappos. Finally, but no means least important, make sure that all these teams are talking to each other. For a social media strategy to fully succeed, you have to break the silo that exists among marketing, public relations, customer service, search marketing, and IT. Conversations and dialogue must occur among them so that everyone's message is congruent and no one steps on anyone else's toes. Discussing the plans ahead of time can produce amazing results. Meta team can share it with the community they're engaging with and ask them. Social media has begun to force companies to break down those silos. The departments are no longer isolated, nor they should be. Just as social media creates conversation and sharing of experiences between companies and customers, it should be creating conversations and dialogue between employees and departments. Pretending to be someone you are not is probably one of the biggest taboos in social media. Having someone post a genuine reviewer, Twitter friend, or using bots to artificially inflate online vote result is a fast track to getting the company labeled as dishonest. Online communities are especially sensitive to this bad form, and when you've upset one group, more are sure to follow. Companies should join and participate in social media communities. You will earn a lot more respect and gain more credibility with the community members if you tell them right from the start you are who you are and why you are joining this community. Approaching the administrator of the community before you start your actual engagement might be the wisest step. Doing so allows administrators to give you a few pointers to help you avoid violating unwritten rules of the community. The community administrator might also be willing to verify that you are indeed a representative of the company you claim to represent, which is a huge boon to your credibility with that community. People are curious about other people in the community. Community members will first look at the profile before engaging in conversation with you. If the profile lacks information, community members will likely to very wary of you from the start. Fill information about your company as well as the personal information. Filling in this information does the following. First, build trust around the actions in the community, enables community members to feel safe in directing others to you for more information about your company and brands. And it also helps to make community members more comfortable coming to you with questions, concerns, complaints, and compliments. It helps you when things go wrong, and when something bad happens with a product or service your company provides. This added trust you have built in social communities will help you weather the storm. In fact, community members just might come to your rescue. Branding in this context of social media is very important because it helps community members identify with your company. Customers relate to logos and avatars and eventually come to trust them. You also want the community members to identify and remember who you are, and you can do it much more easily with an image or a logo rather than just a text. It's also important that community members be able to identify and interact with the brand when they are not online. Everything you do online and offline must be consistent with the avatar to the way you speak about your product, service, and brand. What you say online must mirror what your company says in TV commercials, radio spots, and print pieces. The branding and messaging become another big piece of trust factor of building relationship online. The best way to earn that trust is make sure the branding right from the start. A common fallacy is to think that the online persona can be totally different than the real life persona. This also applies to accompany efforts in social media communities. Companies are likely to hold a higher standards because they are working as a group instead as individuals. There's a bit of fallacy that groups are more ethical because many people are working as one entirety and one person cannot run the whole bunch. A good rule of thumb is to make sure you are treating the people you are engaging in online communities the same way you treat the customer who talk to the doors of the establishment or call your telephones. Don't brush off online community complaints because you cannot make eye contact or hear the anger in their voices. A good rule of thumb is to make sure you are treating the people. They are basically the same. The only real difference is the way in which you are communicating with the online context. The online world can be very finicky place. People misinterpret, misconstrue, and misread information. The first step in earning trust is to be honest from the onset and very transparent about who you are and what the intentions are. As with the offline relationship in a face-to-face environment, we must establish trust in the online environment. In online communities, members look for the different cues that point to the same traits. These are own cues that online communities members look at to gauge whether you are for real. If something seems even remotely off key from the tune you have been singing, the trust is gone. People who rely on ratings and reviews are much more likely to believe a review that has a few bad or not so stellar reviews in the mix along with many good reviews. We find it difficult to trust others, especially online. So gaining people's trust in online communities takes a lot of time and effort. Make sure you aren't faking anything, either step in the right direction when working with such unequal groups. If members of the community even catch a glimpse of impropriety suggesting that the team or your company isn't really producing your content, they will be on a mission to prove to the world you have been dishonest. Ghosting blogging and ghost tweeting is a practice in which companies hire agencies or individuals to perform underhanded deeds that are designed to make your company look good in the eyes of online community. This can include tweeting, posting Facebook updates, adding friends to your MySpace account, adding fake pictures, fake photos to the Flickr account, or writing blog posts, all under the guise of being legitimate. As you might imagine, this practice is risky and a bad idea. If anyone gets wind of your company implementing these types of tactics, you will lose on respect, trust, and almost any opportunity to becoming successful in social media. To wrap up this chapter, I want to highlight one of the more notorious cases of not being transparent and paying a huge price. Some years ago, Walmart and its PR company, Alderman, launched a blog called Walmarting Across America, which was supposed to tell the story of a couple who traveled across America in their RV staying in Walmart parking lots. They had a blog where they log the adventures of their journeys. However, this wasn't really just two people who love RVing. They were the sister of an Alderman employee and her boyfriend, who was a professional photographer for a major East Coast newspapers. When this was reported, both Walmart and Alderman were taken in the task for such flagrant attempt to trick the public with a marketing tactic. Walmart's second attempt at social media didn't fare any better because the company still didn't understand that it couldn't control social media communities. Unfortunately, for the would-be members of the hub, Walmart wouldn't let them join unless their parents approve it, permitted their children to message other members, and screened all posts. In addition to the other restrictions community members do not have to endure elsewhere, it's no wonder that after launching in July 2006, the community was closed in October of the same year. Finally, Walmart began to listen, and its checkout blogs have become a decent success. Similar to Nuts About Southwest blog, which is written by real employees of Southwest Airlines, Checkout enables Walmart employees to tell their stories and make announcements. It took 3 attempts for the Walmart to exhibit transparency and build trust. Walmart has billions of dollars in its reserves. Not every company had that kind of money at their disposal to waste on such costly mistake and foolish moves to try to manipulate an audience. Icons and avatars are images that help portray who you are. They provide a simple but effective way for people to visualize, identify with you beyond the text information in your profile. People eventually trust them as the symbol of an established relationship. Community members will also quickly note changes in avatar, especially if you frequently converse with them. When you are first establishing the presence in social media communities, you should be careful about the avatar you choose to represent the company. Avatars create an emotional connection to other community members and contribute to overall impression the company makes, regardless of whether the perception is accurate. Thoroughly investigate all the options before choosing the avatar and ask a few colleagues to share their opinions about your avatar online. This quick check can be very helpful in the long run. Remember, the goal is to make a good first impression. Although you cannot control what the employees do in their own time, it's helpful to implement policies about avatars and icons, especially although such employees aren't representing you officially, they are still making. Educating your employees about social media and its potential effects on the company is probably the first step you can take. Working with the employees to establish policies around issues such as this can go more smoothly when everyone understands what's at stake. It is different situations when the employees are representing you within a social media community. In this case, they are directly interacting with the community members on your behalf. Although you want to give them a little leeway to express themselves individually, you still want them to represent you in a way that is in line with the marketing and messaging. If you have multiple team members representing your firm across many communities, having everyone use the same logos as their avatar can confuse community members. It can also hinder the trust and relationship building processes. Enabling your team members to establish their own identities while representing you in the form of a more personalized icon and avatar will help in creating the connections you need to build solid relationships in social media communities. It is important to take note of the people you are engaging with. These are in social media communities. Although the avatar can say a lot about you, the avatars can tell you more about them. Sometimes an avatar offers a clue to the type of personality you are dealing with and what that person considers important. Sometimes it can also give you an idea of how open and closed a person is. Avatars are an easy way to identify members of one community who cross over reluctant to change. The avatar a community member uses is the most easily identifiable features of that member, no matter what online social community they are in. That is why people tend to keep the same avatar across social media communities. Another side benefit of watching and learning before jumping into social community is that you can spot trends happening in these communities via avatars people are using. Sometimes communities members change their icons slightly to show support for a cause, highlight a special event, or even get into the current holiday spirit. Because icons are meant to be visual cues, members of the social media community can easily commit them to the memory. You might even see people refer to other community members by a nickname that's come from their icon instead by their moniker or username they have chosen. When you implement the company's social media marketing strategy, remember that community members distinctly recall avatars. Along with the messaging you are crafting, you should be thinking about your visual impressions to these audiences. If you are a marketer, you will want to make sure they remember your brand. If your company features many products or services, but your main purpose for engaging in social media is to promote one particular product, consider using that brand or product's photos as your avatar. Although using company logo is not a wrong choice, a more effective choice is to use the particular brand's logo to help reinforce the experiences and passionate feelings your audience identify with the particular brand. Changing your avatar is sometimes appropriate. If you are working in social media on a more personal level and you are using a photo of yourself, it's personally acceptable to change the avatar to a new photos that reflect the current look. If you want to make changes to your branding or logo, you should change the avatar, profile, and icon that you are sharing, that you're using on the social media communities, because this icon should reflect the current branding efforts. Having a little fun and be creative with their own avatar and icon. Individuals have more leeway because they don't have a public state of company philosophies they need to abide by as the companies do. You can also create holiday-themed avatars for their engagement in social media. This shows that companies has a human side and that you are willing to join the community for more than just marketing purposes. Joining community in something as small as icon change can help build trust and relationships in these communities. So today, we talk about how to build trust when you set up your marketing on the social media. I once again remind you 3 important things. Firstly, define who owns the conversations. Secondly, be transparent. Trust and relationship must be earned. Thirdly, audience trust icons and avatars. Thank you for your listening.